Change makers, and welcome to The Core, sponsored by Red Apple EdCo. This is your everything education podcast. We talk about current events, books to read. We interview education leaders, hear their stories, learn from their biggest lessons, and they share what they wish you knew about what it means to be in education today. I'm your host, Dr. Kia Turner. Buckle up for small seeds of inspiration that can lead to big changes in your classroom practice. Let's take a bite out of today's guest. Hi, you guys. So this is my second year, and it feels kind of surreal. A year ago, I was podcasting and dreaming about all of the things that I wanted to get accomplished. And here we are a year later, and so much has changed for me. I told you this. I've gone out on my own. I currently literally officially work for myself, and it was the best, most scariest decision ever. I have freed my voice. I'm able to talk about the things that really matter to me and that matter to you all when I run into you. I also think that there's some other planning and events and things that I want to do for teachers that I'm working on to get going in 2020. I intended to do a few more things this year, but it has turned out to be a year of planning for me. And that means that next year is going to be even better than I originally shot for. So that's always good. So a few updates about me. Number one, so this would be month like 3 or 4 of entrepreneurship, and the hustle is real. I will tell those of you who are thinking of moving from the classroom into your own thing, you need to start building that network now. Who do you know? Who can you help right now? Maybe for free, but just help them out. Be a friend, and you don't know when those relationships may turn into more than an opportunity for friendship down the line, particularly if the people that you're helping are people you like anyway, which they should be, and in an area that you already have interest. That is always a good thing. And then, I have a daughter, and she's getting older, and just watching her grow up lets me know that making this transition from kind of the 9 to 5 to the whatever hours work to get done what I need to get done and being able to work from my laptop was just the best decision ever. I am able to be more present for her. And it's important to me that I get to make my investment in the life of my own child because, as I've told y'all before, of course, I feel a responsibility for the children in my community and the children whose teachers and school systems, et cetera, that I work with. But I can't do that and then not show up at home. So this has been a really good thing there. And then I just think that, at the beginning of the year, I make these vision boards, and I think a lot of you do too, where you're like, what do I want to get done this year? I am crushing my vision board goals, right? Like when I go back over it and look at all that I set out to do, I'm like 75, 80% there. And that excites me because it's the first time that I can see that I've made like dedicated, steady progress towards the life that I want to live. And I think that's important for all of us. And so today, I actually wanted to talk to you guys about teacher protests. There have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teacher protests this year that I know about. You can maybe Google search and find more. But we've had Chicago, LA, Oakland, Denver, I think in Oklahoma, or that might have been last year kicking it all off, and then North and South Carolina. And as I record this, the Netherlands has a group of teachers that are currently striking. And it's all for the same thing. Teachers want respect. Teachers want more wraparound services for kids because we're so close to them. We see the supports that they need. But it seems sometimes like the systems that we are in respond slowly to what is best for kids and families, or maybe to the need of kids and families would be a better way to put that. More nurses, more librarians, more pay, fewer kids in class so that you can go deeper with fewer. And there's always this idea, that teachers need to be like these selfish, sort of altruistic types, everything for the kids. But then when we are, you don't necessarily always get the support you need in an administrative capacity. And that can be frustrating. Giving your all every day, showing up, doing the work, knocking it down, making an impact for kids, delivering instruction that's relevant and measuring that instruction appropriately and providing intervention, connecting with families. That's all work. And I always tell you, you know this, that's hard work. Like, you do it because you love it. No one becomes a teacher because they thought they were going to get wealthy from it, although we should be able to. And so if we have teachers who are busting it down every day, they can't be expected to keep doing that in systems that have not changed along with their approach. Like, what stuck out to me about all of these protests, y'all remember Red for Ed? I know you do if you followed me on Instagram, because I had a red shirt every day. And that was a part of those West Coast protests. No, and I think Oklahoma too. No, okay, maybe all of them. If you were following that whole Red for Ed movement, it's just like teachers saying, I need you to support me while I support you. Teacher training and the expectations of teachers in the classroom has changed so much, but administration has changed at a far slower pace, and there's the disconnect. You got teachers who are trying all these strategies with kids in class and doing all this learning, but if they're not supported by an administrative team that has that same vision and exposure and commitment, the entire thing is going to fall apart. And that's exactly what's happening. And what I always am fascinated by is every time there's a teacher strike, people are like, oh my goodness, this is affecting the kids. How's it affecting the kids for teachers to be out of the classroom? But here's the counter question. How's it affecting children for teachers who can't really help them the way they need to be in the classroom? Or how's it affecting the children to show up to schools where they're not really going to be supported in terms of school structure in the way that they need to be successful? So yeah, we're going to have their teachers doing the best they can, but the school itself is not designed to help the kids get where we would like them to be. That's just as detrimental to children. And I think that of all professions, we pull this card on teachers like, you need to keep the kids first. Is it in the best interest of the kids that you're out here on the picket line? And the answer is yes. Yes, I deserve to be paid for the work that I'm doing, particularly if I had to go get more than one degree to do it. Yes, I deserve more pay for that because I'm pouring my life into other people's children, sometimes to the neglect of my own. Yes, it's worth standing on this picket line because the children can't speak for themselves and say we need more therapists and counselors and access to mental health services. We need more nurses. We need more librarians and people that expose us to the world beyond our classroom. Yes, that's worth me standing here. And yes, it's worth me standing here to say I cannot teach children when they're packed into my classroom like sardines. I mean, that's fair. We don't expect that to happen with adults, but we have teachers do it, and it's just not a feasible situation. And so if you are a teacher, okay, this is where I'm going with this. If you're a teacher in an employment situation where you're like, dadgummit, I feel like I'm stuck. I'm not really sure how to get my students where I want them to be because of the way that my teaching situation is set up. I'm going to tell you that the first thing you need to do is build connection. We are at a time in education where you cannot afford to operate in a silo because so many of us are feeling the same pressures. Honey, in the Netherlands, they are striking for all of those same reasons. Teachers need to be respected. Students need wraparound supports. Teachers need more money. These are universal issues, not just United States issues, universal issues. So you can't afford to operate in a silo. You've got to connect to other teachers to find out what they're doing so that we can make it through together. Okay, that's why we got podcasts like this one and a few others. Second, you need to remain curious. You have got to always be willing to adopt another perspective and always be willing to learn what you don't know. There may be new methodologies that may work better in the situation that you're in. There may be a way to manage up and to work with your direct supervisor, even though they're not necessarily on board or have been exposed to the training that you have. You've got to stay curious in that you've got to always be looking for a way to solve what's bothering you, because gone are the days where we can rely on the system we work for to come up with those solutions or even acknowledge that there's a problem at all. Finally, you need to check your commitment. I mean, is it time for you to leave the classroom, my love? It's okay if it is. Clearly, I did. If it's time for you to go, either because the thought of teaching the kids wears you down or because of the thought of showing up to the system that you're a part of wears you out, then go ahead and go. You may find that you are able to scratch that itch and pursue your passion in another way. Or you may find that taking a break, I'm a fan of teachers being given sabbatical years. I think we need it because of the kind of work that we do. But you may find that taking that break and coming back to the classroom gives you the perspective that you needed to go in there and try it again. My point is, if you are a classroom teacher these days, you need to, number one, make sure you're connected to other teachers, okay? Number two, make sure you stay curious and keep looking for ways to solve problems and don't fall into that's just the way it is here, this all sucks kind of thinking. And then number three, make sure that you are checking your commitment. Listen, everything is not for everybody forever. You may have done your time as a teacher and been amazing. It may be time for you to pursue something else. If that's the case, dust off your resume, DM me, honey, okay? Because I talk to people all the time, especially if you're in the Midwest. Dust off your resume and get out there and see what else you can do, or take the route that I did and step out on faith, honey, and start your own thing. The point is, the work we do in the classroom is sacred, and we cannot pour from an empty cup. If you're not connected, if you're not curious, if you're not checking your commitment, chances are you may be going to work, putting it in every day, but not making the impact that you'd hoped. That is all I have. Please DM me. Let me know your teacher stories. I have some war stories for you, okay? And that's why I do this, because you are not alone. You are a part of a community of educators who are all dealing with the same thing. And together, we can all get better. All right, fire starters, that's all I have. Go forth, be great, and stay lit. That's all we have for today. Thank you for listening to The Core. Wherever you are listening to us, be sure to like our show, subscribe, and share the episode that's meant the most to you. We appreciate every single one of our subscribers, as do our sponsors. We look forward to seeing you next week. You can also check us out on YouTube at Red Apple EdCo if you'd like to see more video of these conversations. We have them posted there.